In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, a man named Abram received an extraordinary call. This was a time when the world was still young, and the lands were vast and filled with mystery. Mesopotamia, often referred to as the cradle of civilization, was a place of great cultural and historical significance. It was here, amidst the bustling cities and fertile plains, that Abram's life was about to change forever. God spoke to him, promising him a new land, a land flowing with milk and honey. This promise was not just about a physical place, but a vision of prosperity, abundance, and divine favor. The imagery of milk and honey symbolized a land of plenty, where every need would be met and every desire fulfilled. It was a promise that resonated deeply with Abram, stirring his heart and igniting his faith. Abram was to leave his home, his kindred, and the familiar comforts of his father's house. This was no small decision. Leaving behind everything he had ever known, the people he loved, and the life he had built required immense courage and conviction. The ties of family and tradition were strong, and the comforts of home were many. Yet, Abram felt a calling that was stronger than any earthly attachment. He was to embark on a journey into the unknown, guided by nothing but faith in the divine promise. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with potential dangers and hardships. Yet Abram's faith was unwavering. He believed that the promise of God was worth any sacrifice, and that the journey, no matter how arduous, would lead to a greater destiny. This was no small feat for Abram. He was a man of considerable means, with flocks, herds, and servants. His life in Mesopotamia was one of relative comfort and stability. To leave all this behind and venture into the unknown required a level of faith and determination that few possess. Yet, Abram was willing to take this leap, driven by a vision of a future that was greater than his present. He was a man of his time, rooted in tradition and custom. The culture of Mesopotamia was rich and complex, with deep-rooted traditions and customs that shaped every aspect of life. Abram was a part of this world, and his identity was intertwined with its values and beliefs. Yet he was willing to step beyond the boundaries of his culture to embrace a new identity and a new destiny. Yet, he chose to trust in the Word of God. This trust was not blind, but born of a deep and personal relationship with the divine. Abram had experienced the presence of God in his life, and he believed in the promises that had been made to him. His faith was a source of strength and guidance, helping him to navigate the uncertainties and challenges of his journey. He packed his belongings, gathered his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all those who belonged to him, and set off on a journey westward. This was not just a personal journey, but a collective one. Abram's decision affected everyone around him, and they too had to leave behind their homes and their lives. Together, they formed a caravan, a community of faith, bound by a common vision and a shared destiny. This was a journey of faith, a leap into the arms of the unknown. The desert was vast and unforgiving, a place of both beauty and danger, yet the travelers were united by their faith and their hope in the promise of a better future. Each step they took was a testament to their courage and their belief in the divine promise. It marked the beginning of Abram's incredible journey of faith, a journey that would shape the destiny of nations and echo through the annals of history. This was not just a physical journey, but a spiritual one, a journey that would transform Abram and his descendants and leave a lasting legacy for generations to come. The story of Abram's journey is a powerful reminder of the strength of faith and the power of divine promise. Welcome to Bible Stories and Chronicles channel. If you like to hear beautiful stories from Bible, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Thank you. The journey to Canaan was long and arduous. Abram, a man of unwavering faith, led his family and followers through a path fraught with challenges. The promise of a new land, a land flowing with milk and honey, was their guiding light. But the road to this promised land was anything but easy. Abram and his caravan traversed vast, unforgiving landscapes. The scorching sun beat down on them as they crossed endless stretches of desert. The sand seemed to go on forever, with dunes rising and falling like waves in a sea of heat. Each step was a test of their endurance and resolve. They faced scorching desert heat, navigated treacherous mountain passes, and braved the elements with a determination that could only come from a deep-seated belief in their mission. The rocky paths were perilous, with loose stones threatening to send them tumbling down steep inclines, yet they pressed on, driven by the hope of a better future. Along the way, they encountered strange and unfamiliar peoples. These encounters were a mix of curiosity and caution. Some tribes were welcoming, offering food and shelter, while others were wary, seeing the newcomers as potential threats. Each interaction was a reminder of the vast and diverse world they were journeying through. Through it all, Abram clung to God's promise, his faith a beacon in the wilderness. In moments of doubt and fear, he would find solace in prayer, seeking guidance and strength from the divine. His unwavering belief was a source of inspiration for his followers, who looked to him for leadership and hope. He pressed onward, his heart set on the land promised to him and his descendants. The vision of a prosperous future kept him moving forward, even when the journey seemed insurmountable. His determination was palpable, a force that propelled the entire caravan through the toughest of times. Yet as they journeyed, a new challenge arose. A famine gripped the land of Canaan. The once fertile fields lay barren, and the threat of starvation loomed large. The land that was supposed to be their sanctuary now seemed to be turning against them, testing their faith and resilience in new ways. The once fertile fields lay barren, and the threat of starvation loomed large. The crops withered under the relentless sun, and the rivers that once provided sustenance dried up. The community faced a dire situation, with their very survival hanging in the balance. The dream of a bountiful land seemed to be slipping away. Faced with this dire situation, Abram made a difficult decision. He would journey south to the land of Egypt, where the Nile's life-giving waters ensured abundance. The decision was not made lightly, as it meant leaving behind the land they had strived so hard to reach. But the promise of survival and the hope of finding sustenance for his people outweighed the risks. The journey to Egypt was a new chapter in their saga, filled with uncertainty but also with the promise of new beginnings. Egypt, with its majestic pyramids and the mighty Nile, was a land of both wonder and danger. Abram, acutely aware of his wife's beauty and fearing for his own safety, asked Sarai to claim to be his sister. He reasoned that if the Egyptians believed Sarai to be his sister, they would not harm him in their pursuit of her. This decision, born out of fear and a lack of trust in God's protection, would have unforeseen consequences. Word of Sarai's beauty reached the Pharaoh, who summoned her to his court. Believing Abram's lie, the Pharaoh took Sarai into his palace, intending to make her his wife. Unbeknownst to Abram, God watched over Sarai. He brought plagues upon the Pharaoh and his household, revealing the truth of Sarai's identity and the deception that had been perpetrated. The Pharaoh, enraged and humiliated, confronted Abram. He banished Abram and Sarai from Egypt, their sojourn in this land of plenty cut short by Abram's act of deceit. A test of faith, a lesson learned. Abram's journey to Egypt was a test of his faith, a crucible in which his obedience and trust in God were tested. The journey was long and arduous, filled with the harsh realities of desert travel. The scorching sun, the endless dunes, and the scarcity of water all added to the physical and emotional strain. Yet, Abram pressed on, driven by a promise and a purpose that transcended the immediate hardships. It was a journey marked by both moments of unwavering faith and instances of human frailty. In the solitude of the desert, Abram often found himself in deep prayer, seeking guidance and strength. There were times when his faith shone brightly, illuminating the path ahead, but there were also moments when doubt crept in, casting long shadows over his resolve. In Egypt, Abram allowed fear to cloud his judgment, leading him to compromise his integrity and doubt God's promise of protection. The bustling markets and the foreign faces only heightened his sense of vulnerability. He felt like a stranger in a strange land, and in his anxiety, he made choices that would have lasting repercussions. The consequences of his actions were immediate and severe. Confronted by soldiers and questioned by the Pharaoh, Abram's fears materialized into a harsh reality. His deception not only endangered his own life but also put his wife Sarai in grave danger. The royal court buzzed with tension, and Abram realized the gravity of his mistake. He faced the Pharaoh's wrath, endangered his wife, and ultimately was forced to leave Egypt empty-handed. The departure was a somber one, marked by a sense of loss and regret. As they walked away from the grand gates of Egypt, Abram and Sarai carried with them not just their belongings, but also the weight of their experiences. However, this experience served as a powerful lesson. In the quiet moments of reflection, Abram began to understand the deeper meaning of his journey. It was not just a physical trek, but a spiritual odyssey that tested the very core of his beliefs. The trials he faced were not meant to break him, but to build a stronger foundation of faith. It underscored the importance of unwavering faith, even in the face of adversity. As the dawn broke over the horizon, signaling a new beginning, Abram and Sarai moved forward with renewed determination. Their journey was far from over, but they now carried with them a profound lesson: that true faith is steadfast, even when the path is fraught with challenges. Beyond the Nile, a return to faithfulness. As Abram journeyed back to Canaan, he carried with him the weight of his experience in Egypt. He had learned a valuable lesson about the importance of trusting in God's promises, even when fear threatened to overwhelm him. Upon his return, Abram went back to the place where he had first built an altar to God, reaffirming his commitment to the divine covenant. He had stumbled, he had faltered, but he had emerged from the experience with a deeper understanding of the nature of faith and the importance of obedience. The Echoes of Egypt, Lessons in Trust and Obedience. Abram's journey to Egypt serves as a powerful reminder that faith is not a static concept, but a dynamic journey filled with both triumphs and trials. It highlights the importance of trusting in God's promises, even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges. Abram's experience teaches us that God remains faithful even when we falter. His grace is sufficient to cover our mistakes, and His love compels Him to redeem our failures. The story encourages us to learn from our missteps, and to emerge from trials with a renewed commitment to living a life of integrity and obedience. The enduring legacy of Abram's journey. Abram's journey to Egypt is not merely an ancient tale, it holds profound relevance for us today. We too are on a journey of faith, navigating the complexities of life and facing our own sets of challenges and uncertainties. Like Abram, we may be tempted to take matters into our own hands, relying on our own limited understanding and resorting to deceit or compromise. However, Abram's story reminds us that true security and lasting peace are found not in our own clever schemes but in placing our trust in God. Abram's journey, our compass, navigating life's adventures. As we journey through life, let us remember Abram's example, both his moments of unwavering faith and his times of human weakness. Let us strive to be people of integrity, holding fast to truth and righteousness even when it is difficult. Let us face our own Egypts with courage and conviction, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. And let us never forget that the God who called Abram still calls us today, inviting us to embark on our own adventures of faith, trusting in His guidance and resting in His unwavering love. We will continue with another beautiful story from Bible in our next video. Subscribe so that you will not miss it. Thanks for watching.